What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 2 of the Birds Backfield podcast. Today it's just going to be two of us. It's going to be me and Matt, or Eagles Everything, on here today. We're going to be talking recent contract extensions and then the San Fran game that's coming up tomorrow. Matt, what are your thoughts on the recent extensions to Mailata and Josh Sweat, one of which happened earlier today?
Yo, what's going on, Nick? What's going on, everyone? Yeah, big news week for the Eagles. Two big extensions. Really happy with them. Two kind of projection deals that the Eagles are trying to hit on with bargains here. I think a lot of people are really starting to see the potential that Sweat and Mailata have. So, these are ones that by the end of the year they could look like, how the heck is Josh Sweat making only 10? How is Mailata, top 10 tackle making, 15 to 17 mil per year? So obviously they're going to come with some risk, but I think right now they're looking like some bargains.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. The big thing for me with the two extensions, I like the Mailata one a lot, but like you said before, and I think we were talking about this throughout the week as well, if they don't work out and you've kind of locked them into this money early on, you kind of screwed yourself a little bit. So for me, it would have been nice to see someone like Mailata kind of play against Nick Bosa this week. And then I know D-Law's out next week, but if he was healthy, that would have been a good one. And then next week, I believe it's like Chris Jones or whoever. So there would have been some good matchups to see Mailata take on, just to know, like, is this the dude before we give him 17 mil a year? But then I guess at that point, you're not banking on projection. You're banking on what you've seen. So it's a good extension. I like it. I'd rather have it than not have it, but it is a little bit worrisome not knowing exactly what you're going to get moving forward, especially for 4 years and that kind of money. And then the Sweat thing, I'm not worried about his performance, but the injury history, he hasn't had too many injuries here, but it's something just to keep an eye on. The big thing for me, and I want to get your opinion on this, is how does it affect Goddard and Barnett in your opinion? Because Goddard's obviously looking for a deal, and with Sweat, where does that put Barnett? And then obviously, I think we both know what's going to happen to Dillard, but what are your takes on all three of those players?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Like Dillard, I don't know. I think I'm surprised he hasn't been moved yet. Obviously, he's just gonna be in with an injury, but that's probably one where after the 4 years are up, it's see ya. That was a terrible pick, but I think Barnett can still get an extension. He's still a solid player. It's definitely not a lock that he's going. But they didn't move him when they could have on that $10 million option. So I think that says a lot. They could have just completely cut him loose and not had any dead cap or anything. So I think they definitely still like him, and he had a pretty good week 1. So I do think he'll be around if he's not looking for anything outrageous. I mean, I hope they're able to still get Goddard. The comment he made a couple weeks ago was like kind of worrisome that they were. Now we kind of know what he was talking about with sending this money elsewhere. Hopefully they get a deal done with him. I would have liked to see it done before the season, but right now it looks like they're going to have to be paying him close to what Mark Andrews got, because he's definitely going to have a really good season.
Yeah, I agree with most of what you just said there. I mean, the Dillard thing is pretty much in the doghouse at this point. It was a wasted pick. It was a high potential pick. I mean, they traded up for him, and it's not panned out at all, and it kind of sucks after only 2 seasons or so, I think. Or is it the 3rd season with him? I think it's the 3rd.
Third, yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of just sucks at this point. We kind of know, and it's really just 2 seasons because he was injured last year, barely played, if at all, and then he played the first year and showed some signs of potential, and now he's just not even playing, so that kind of stinks. And then the Josh Sweat one and Derek Barnett, like you said, people think he's a lock to be gone. I don't really see it that way, because if they can get him relatively cheap as a rotational player, the upside's there. I don't see why you don't keep him. Like, he's not a lock to be gone by any means. And then for Goddard, I think this is a good thing for him, because at least now he gets to play out this year, probably put up his best stat line ever, and then get more money than he would have if he signed today. So for him, it kind of works out, but it is worrisome. They better lock him up, especially with Ertz not really showing any signs of getting back to form. So that's just another thing. Do you have any extra thoughts on that? Or
no, I think I'm good.
Okay. We're going to move on now to the San Fran game, which is tomorrow. Or by the time you're watching this later today. We're playing the 49ers at home. It's the home opener. We're going to talk about keys to beating the game. For me, I'll start off with this one. for me, the biggest key to beating San Fran, I think, is the line play. Both lines have to at least hold up and at best be dominant against the Niners, especially the O-line. The last couple of years, we've seen a lot of injuries across the offensive line. If they can hold up against Bosa and Armstead and all those other boys on that line, Hurts can stay upright. We can win this game. The line play is going to be crucial to getting the offense going. And then on the flip side, you got to have defensive line play. I mean, if you can get to Jimmy G, he's going to get rattled. He's going to shake up, and you can force some turnovers. So for me, both sides of the line need to play well in order to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, last week we kind of knew that the Eagles were going to dominate the lines. That's definitely the Eagles' strength and not something that's Falcons' strength. So, yeah, this week will definitely be more of a test. We'll see if they're able to hold up against all those guys, Bosa, Armstead, Ford. And then same thing defensively. You're going to got Trent Williams and all those big boys to go up against. So, yeah, both lines going to be a huge key to success. And also, 49ers secondary is pretty banged up. They also have Dre Greenlaw. So they're front seven. The front seven is still going to be good. Fred Warner in there also as a linebacker, but secondary is pretty cooked right now. And so looking for a big game out of Devontae, you're going to need Hurts to stay consistent through the air. And I think they'll have a pretty good chance to win this game.
Yeah. Do you think the Niners defense locks down Hurts' rushing ability, whether that's just scrambling outside the pocket or taking it for yards? Do you think they kind of lock that up and make them into a pocket?
I was looking at that earlier, and they've had a lot of issue with mobile quarterbacks, actually. So I don't know. I think should be another pretty successful game for Hurts. Hopefully, over 50 yards, 50, 60 yards rushing. They're going to have to really keep the defensive ends, active with the options and stuff. So, yeah, hopefully he's still able to use his legs. But like last week, he's going to have to make sure he's, not bailing on the pocket too soon and, goes through his reads before taking off.
Yeah, which, again, that's kind of dependent on how the O-line plays relative to the defensive line of San Fran. If they can hold him upright and he doesn't need to bail, then the rushing kind of just will come and go. But if he's bailing on the pocket because it's breaking down or he's just not comfortable in there, then you're probably going to see him rush with the ball a little bit more, and then we'll kind of see how that, I guess, plays out and affects the offense. So kind of building off of Hurts, who do you believe would be your X-Factor player of the game? Who's got to play the absolute best to win this game, or who's the key player to winning?
I was going to go Hurts, but you can go just with like Malata, Lane. They got to hold up. And like I said, Hurts, he really did a really good job. There was that fourth down early in the game last week where there was a little bit of pressure. He really should have stayed still a little bit longer, but he bailed and had to throw it away, I think.
Yeah.
He's got to go through his reads because it's not a lockdown secondary anymore. There's a lot of guys who can be beat out there. I'd go Hurts. I think he's definitely the biggest key. But they got to have, the run game's got to stay good. So Hurts and the O-line is what I'm going with. Who you got for your X factor?
Yeah, so Hurts is kind of a given, I would say. He's got to play good for them to win really any game at this point. I'd also go O-line, but I would specifically say Mailata. The rest of the O-line, we kind of know what they are. Seumalo's solid. The other three are all pros. They're going to do their thing. Mailata's the one. This is probably the hardest challenge he's had to face so far, I would think. So he's got to be able to hold up against Bosa and really not let up a game-changing play. If he can do that, if he can lock down that left side and keep it, shut down and Hurts doesn't have to worry about that side, then their odds of winning go up drastically, I think. As far as defense, if we want to just flip it to that side, I would probably say the secondary is what needs to play well. Whoever's going to be on George Kittle, whatever, if that's a safety, so I would assume maybe if that's Anthony Harris or whoever's going to be on Kittle, that's kind of the dude on defense that needs to do their job and hold him down. Because Kittle, we saw that, I think it was last year against the Raiders, was when it was the Raiders or was it the Saints? I forget. That stiff arm for like 40 yards. If you just can't let that happen again this year. So whoever's on Kittle on defense, I think is the one that really needs to step up.
Yeah, last week I think it was a lot of Kayvon who was on Pitts, and he was ghost the whole game. So same with Ridley after that first drive. So Debo and Kittle gonna have to keep quiet.
Yeah, and I think it's also an improved offensive scheme. It's not a rookie head coach. It's a dude who's been in the Super Bowl
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot more to really look out for, especially improved offensive line play compared to Atlanta. It's even if the challenge isn't as hard as far as the receiver Ridley. I would say Ridley is better. The challenge is going to be there as an offense as a whole. So they definitely got to do their job in that regard.
Yeah. Another going to probably be the first big test also for Gannon now. He's got Shanahan to scheme up again, so that'll be interesting to see as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the Niners handle their run game and then how Gannon kind of responds to it. Because
Mm-hmm.
with their run game being out, does he want to focus on that? Does he want to focus on the receivers and Kittle, or does he kind of want to completely shut down that run game while it's a weakness and let his guys do their thing on the back end? That'll be interesting to see as well. Do you have anything else?
And side note,
Go ahead.
yeah, side note, thoughts on Dickerson being active this week?
It's exciting. I don't know that he'll get play time because there's really
No, I don't think he'll play, but it's definitely good to see him back this early. I don't know if I thought like there was some thought about him being a PUP if he'd even be active this year. So that was really good to see.
the fact that he's active this soon is a great sign. Maybe there's like a five or an extra lineman package or something that they could run at the goal line or whatever and throw him in
Mm-hmm.
there. But just the fact that he's active, I think, is a really good sign, and it kind of makes you wonder what they're going to do long term. I guess we can just kind of talk about that real quick. Long term, what do you think happens as far as Dickerson on the line? Is he take whose place does he take, or where does he kind of fit in your opinion?
I think it's pretty obvious that Kelsey will be. I mean, we've been saying this for how many years now, but you would think Kelsey's gone after this year.
Mm-hmm.
So then I think he would just slide right in. Sagamala has been pretty good guard for a few years now. A lot of people, act like he's the weakness, which he might be because the line's so good. But
Yeah.
Dickerson can definitely, I think, slide right in there at center next year.
Now, do you think there's a chance Sayamalo slides in the center and then Dickerson's at guard? Because I think that's also
That was a thought too.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that'll just be figured out in camp next year.
yeah. I think one of those two combinations is probably what you see. But then it also kind of you got to keep Brandon Brooks in the back of your head too because he was in trade talks and the injury
Mm-hmm.
history. If that positions opens up, then I would say they probably plug Dickerson in there, and then you got to get a whole new center. So I guess that's an off-season problem, but it is something to keep in mind as the season goes on. What we're going to see happen with those.
Yeah, a lot of people weren't a huge fan of the Dickerson pick. A lot of people wanted Joe, who I also wanted JOK. But you look at the line, Lanes, how many years he's got left, how many years Brooks have left. Kelsey probably on his last year. Then you got Malata, really only real young guy. So having Dickerson all ready for next year is going to be huge because the line's not going to look like that for the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. It's been their strength since the Super Bowl, probably since 2016 when Lane was active that year. So
Mm-hmm.
for them to continue to build on that, I think it's a good starting point to kind of get back to where they were if they can continue to build
Sure.
that on both ends, defense and offensive with Sweat and all those dudes. So that's definitely something that's a bright spot.
For sure.
I guess we'll just finish off now with predictions for the game. Who you taking to win this game? You could do score if you want. Maybe a breakout player this game too. What are you thinking?
Yeah, this one was tough. If the 49ers are completely healthy, I'm probably going San Fran. But, you just kind of look down at the roster, and they're just really banged up. Defensively, like we were saying, the front seven still is definitely there. But the secondary is definitely going to have holes that you can exploit. If they have a good game plan, if Sirianni, Gannon, are able to outcoach Shanahan here a little bit, I think they're going to be able to hold on. It'll be a low-scoring game, in my opinion. It's definitely I definitely don't see Hurts putting up 30 plus on this defense. I definitely don't see Jimmy G putting up 30 plus on this. With this defensive line is going to be all over Jimmy G, I think. But I'm going to go probably 26-23 Eagles. And a breakout player this week, I think be nice to see Quez. Definitely, like we saw in the first, I think it was like the first plays of the game where he got those 3 catches.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to see him. He got like 50% of snaps. It'd be nice to see him get 5+ catches. Hopefully, maybe give him a couple screen looks. Hopefully, break one off. But I think I'll go with him. I'm gonna predict about like a 40+ yard touchdown to Quez.
Cool. I would love for that to happen. That would be fun to see.
It
For
would.
me, I would again. I'm kind of in the same boat you were, going back and forth on it a little bit, somewhat iffy. But if the Niners were fully healthy, I would definitely take them. If Ayuk was on his game, and we don't really know what he's going to look like, if he's supposed to be what he was projected to be, then maybe my answer changed. But if he's in the doghouse still next week and he's not really getting the snaps, he's not playing well, then I'm going to go Philly to win this game. So, but I think it will be close, like you said. I think the winner is probably going to be in that like 26, 27 point range. I don't think either team's going to get blown out. I don't think it's going to be low scoring. I think like that 23 to 27 is what both teams are looking at. But I'll take Philly to win it. I do think if San Fran wins, like a Kittle game changing play or like a hurt, like just somebody's got to make an insane play for San Fran if they're going to win it. If Philly wins it, I think it's because it's going to be game script was on point, coaching was on point, and all the stuff kind of in that realm. But I'll go Philly to win it. And as far as a breakout player or a player who, not really an X factor, but a breakout player who's got to dominate, probably going to go. I feel like Miles Sanders might have to have a big day, or at least one of the running backs. If they can get that ground game going and kind of deliver and make it easier on Hurts in that way, I think the ground game, Miles Sanders, we'll just say him, is the one that really needs to deliver. And I think he will probably this Sunday.
It's definitely possible. I mean, Swift and Jamal Williams last week put up crazy numbers against them, which is kind of shocking.
Yeah, they were both like
then like you
fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah, I know both. Yeah, both are like close to 30. But like you said on Ayuk, I don't know if he's gonna really even play too much after the Shanahan comments,
Yeah.
which would be nice. But yeah. Also, like you said, I would be shocked if it's anything close to a blowout on either side this week. This has got like close game written all over it.
Yeah. With Ayuk, I think he played about 14 snaps last week or something. So it's not like he played 60 and didn't produce. I mean, he didn't get snaps. So I don't know if 1 week really changes that at all. I probably would still say he gets low snaps, which is a good thing for the Eagles. It's one less dude to cover.
Yeah, I have no idea what happened. He must have just come in being really unprepared because what Shanahan was just like, what the guys behind him are just playing better than him right now. He's got to step up his game. It's a weird situation.
They had a couple. I remember seeing some reports. Him and I remember Trey Sermon was another one where they just were getting outplayed by dudes below them on the depth chart, and that's why Mitchell kind of take over as the RB1. So that is something to just kind of keep in mind that you're probably not going to see much of Sermon, if at all. I mean, you probably will now with the Mostert injury, but
He has to be active, I would think.
Yeah, he probably
this week.
Depth reasons at a minimum, he's got to be active. I don't know how much play time he'll get. And then Ayuk is active, which he will be. Probably going to be 20 or so snaps. Like I don't know. I just can't.
I would think, yeah.
Being that active. Do you have any other final thoughts or anything you want to say before we close it off?
No, I think I'm good. How about you?
I think I'm good as well. We're hoping for an Eagles victory, 2-0, going into Dallas next Monday night. We will have a pregame.
Would be nice.
As well. We will do a postgame as well for this game. Hopefully we can get more people from the crew on. But that's going to be it for this episode, guys. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your time. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.